All right, so Fletcher was the wizard.
Hi, I'm Jen Barth. I'm playing Jenna Bink, and she is a delightful gnome artificer whose parents work at the university, and she is all about researching what lies under Castle Blackmoor.
My apologies. Hi, I'm Jim. I'm playing Delbert for you today. Delbert is a an agent of the Cabal, and you can find me on the Twitch for Lasanto.
My name is Philip Sema. I'm playing Idris Regan, a mentally challenged individual when it comes to academics, but definitely at the forefront of his class when it comes to the more oral traditions of collegiate studies.
I'm playing. Uh, my name is Matt. I'm playing Penny. Can you hear me, Ted? All right. I'm playing Penny, who is a female Dokri. She is a master of the woods and finding lost, hidden things. Uh, she's a very unscrupulous little individual who is kind of unpleasant to be around most of the time.
And she fine Idris's conscience.
It's totally clear, no problems. Well, I personally was surprised that there were not enough meats and cheeses on the meat and cheese plates when we were there. I find that highly unacceptable in social situations. And then I lost track of the group and forgot to follow them out of the bar and instead decided to play some cards. So, good job, team. Nailing it. As for myself, I learned there's definitely a lot more stuff going on behind the scenes when Tad talks about canon. So it's interesting to see how the different characters interact and how they respond to different threats based on what you read in the book versus what you actually see a dungeon master do.
Playing Delbert, I was really surprised that Delbert ended up being a nice guy. I really kind of expected him to be a snot-nosed little noble rich kid, but as I was playing him, it didn't come out that way at all. So it was pretty cool.
I just had fun, and it's going to be interesting to see how much I end up interacting with the other characters and how the relationship develops as we delve further into danger.
Yeah, I think the initial session, like seeing the group dynamic and how it all worked out, it's gonna be interesting to see how that dynamic evolves when we get in more life-threatening situations, where we're not just losing our mental acuity by going crazy to the coot. But yeah, so far so good. It was fun first session.
I do. I was actually sad I missed that part. As I was telling Tad on the side, I was like, I was getting ready to respond to that guy in like full Disney mode in character, like nothing but, you know, song after song to this guy because I was like, that's the perfect opportunity right there. So I was a little sad, but watching the clips is actually really cool to watch you guys go through it and wonder, well, why didn't my guy make it? And I'm like, that's right, short attention span. Yeah,
We kind of wanted you there. Kind of.
yeah, I was a little bummed. I was joking with Tad. I was like, I was ready to respond to him with like Tina Turner's Private Dancer, but with some coot lyrics, you know. But yeah, it's pretty fun. And then watching people, I guess, talk about it on YouTube and on Facebook and the different groups where it's at. It was really interesting to see people's responses.
I guess I'm being that player that's staying socially isolated from all of the outside conversations about the sessions. So people say like, "Oh yeah, I heard about." I'm like, I didn't realize anyone was paying attention, and I certainly wasn't.
Well, I want to thank the 4 people who commented on Facebook. That's like what 100% more than I normally get
All
on
right.
posts. So there you go.
I'm going to start. All right. Can you guys hear me out in chat?
Yeah, we can hear you in here, but
Yeah. I don't know if I'm getting feedback that I can't be heard out in the stream, although you guys can hear me here. I think we're
so
good. All right.
no,
I
I
can
thought
see the
I thought
feedback
Tad
now.
was gonna. I thought
All
Tad was
right.
gonna do his whole game from inside the dice tower. You don't know what he's saying, but we do, and you just have to interpret what's going on through our facial expressions. That'd be a fun game.
So we have feedback from the stream that the coot is now in everybody's head and looping. So to give you guys context, so I have a house full of gamers who are watching our stream, and when they could not hear me, everybody came running over to tell me. Now I attempted to recognize that on the down low, but by the time the third person came to tell me I had to do things like this, I got it. I'm fixing it in the background. So glad we got the audio up. Here is what I kind of opened with. I opened with talking about Castle Blackmoor and some of the things that I was doing with it, and kind of how we approach canon. And one of the things that Dave said to all of us is, any game is your game. And so what I'm going to do with Castle Blackmoor may not fully and completely and totally reflect canon and that some of the things have been written. But I'm fortunate enough that I was able to work with Dave Arneson and have conversations with him. And I can promise you that what you see of Castle Blackmoor here and what you see in terms of how things manifest as we tell the story and we play are things that he enjoyed. And when I pitched this initial idea with him, he was basically, "That's great, Tad. Go for it. That's going to be fun." And that's how he wanted us all to game. That's how we approach it. And these guys are sick of hearing this, but I have 2 pieces of house rule. If you were trying to scam the merchant prince and you're in front of him, we just assume things are in role-playing mode then, and that can directly impact and affect how the merchant prince responds to you. And second thing is I have dice rolled in a tower intermittently, and the reason I want to do that is so that the information I provide for you influences your response, not necessarily your knowledge of the die roll that you make. And those are things that I really believe in that I think help make a better game. I missed some of your comments. I get the feeling that you guys sort of enjoyed watching Blackmoor sort of open up. Any feeling on what you guys think the egg of Coot is at this point? Any thoughts or theories?
Definitely scrambled.
I'm going with either it's an infernal creature, slightly different from the source material, like because nobody ever figured it out, or it's just playing us all for a bunch of suckers and is moving pieces around, making us think that's what's going on while it's getting ready to do something else.
I personally think it's Tad's alter ego buried within the depths of Castle Blackmoor, made from horrible blackstone.
Elder God, as in like Cthulhu Elder God.
Interesting. One of the things I'm going to like to do here, and I don't think there's any right or wrong lessons, is as we move forward, we will see whose predictions were square on. And I think it's absolutely reasonable and fair for that to adjust and transform over time. So, that being said, we'll move forward. Okay, and also, we're going to be keeping track of how many times I say, you know, in chat, and whoever has the accurate and correct count at the end gets to provide me direct feedback on what are the next encounters that I design. Just saying. That being said,
Is it or
all right.
We'll try our best to spike him.
My wife, who's watching in the background, says one. So last week when we were playing the Dungeons of Castle Blackmoor, here's what we kind of discovered and understood. We discovered that down in the depths of Castle Blackmoor, there were challenges that really weren't well defined or understood, and that the Regency Council and King Uther himself, along with the University of Blackmoor, and of course the Cabal, because this involves mystical and arcane things, were all very, very much concerned with what was going on there. Previously to this group of people being assembled for an expedition, there had been 17 groups prior, and none had been successful. Things we learned. The higher level groups, although it was understood that they would be the most likely to be successful, were the ones that didn't return with the highest degree, so they were most likely not to return. And mid-level groups had a little bit better success rate, and the low-level groups would plod along for a period of time and then would be rebuffed and come back with their members damaged or slain or trapped within. And the players identified 3 different individuals that they could go and speak to and meet with. And they were able to speak with initially Sister Angela of the Order of Odir, and she shared the information with them that she had, and you could actually go watch that clip specifically if you were so inclined. And Sister Angela warned them that it was not a pleasant place below, and that she was in a situation where her dear friends had been possessed, and she had to kill them. And she warned of the darkness and how the physical space below was different. Finally, we also talked to Paulinus Methwa, who was an absolutely insane individual who had been possessed by the egg of Kut and suffered many, many negative consequences as a direct and absolute result of that. And today we are also planning on speaking to Swatha Bundalin. And he is from House Bandolin, who is a relatively minor noble house within the city of Blackmoor. Finally, you had been given direct dispensation to do this adventuring by Fletcher William and also his agent Percy. And Fletcher William, of course, is Dean of the University of Blackmoor, and many, many of you had known him. And each of you had some heads up, some warning that you would be engaged in this, either something very, very vague from members of your family or something more direct and pointed from contacts that you've had. So, that being said, it is morning. This is the second day. I'm assuming you are in the come back in. So, for the record, Penny staying at the come back in, Dilbert staying at his family house, Jenna staying at the come back in, and Idris, are you choosing to stay at the come back in or in your family's or in your apartment that your family arranged for you?
I've got to stay at the inn after winning all those card games and forgetting to go talk to those people.
Outstanding. So I'm going to assume, based on last week's conversation, that we start this day at the come back in with breakfast. And of course, Old Bats is up and working as she always is. And one of the inn's barkeeps rolls over, and it's Sunny, and she is, aptly named Blonde Gal, and she smiles briefly, takes your order for breakfast. Any special requests, sir?
You got some Eggacoot special eggs, you know?
Don't say his name. No, I don't. But you want eggs?
Wait, you're not supposed to say his name. What happens?
Well, I don't like saying his name. So, he's done so much harm. How many times we've been invaded by this thing? 3 times, and nobody knows what he is yet. And if somebody's eyes start to glow, he's one of them. I heard that. Did you hear that?
Well, I heard it was only 2 because no one can remember the 3rd time.
Really?
Yeah. 1, 2. It's only 2. Not 3, 2.
So, Jenna, he can't count, right?
I'm pretty sure, having TA'd one of his classes, that yes, indeed, he cannot count and has no arithmetic skills or any kind of intellectual skills, as a matter of fact.
That's true. I can only count cards. Don't tell anyone.
All right. So she says, "I'll surprise you," and she goes off and brings back your breakfast in about 4 or 5 minutes. Now the room is filled as always. Some dock workers, some students from the University of Blackmoor, other individuals that clearly are in the working trade, is being an adventurer is often referred to. Some folks that are members of the clergy of Odir, and the temple is relatively close, and of course, there is a school there too. What would you like to do today? Let's work through the specifics of what you want.
Well, for gonna talk to the noble family, figuring out what their schedule is to make sure we don't, you know, impose upon them, depending on where they sit within the groups of the nobility.
All right, so that's primary goal then for today. Sunny comes back and she sets down some apples coated in, cinnamon and sugar. And she sets down a loaf of bread and 4 bowls of what seems to be oatmeal with some additional dressings you can throw in it. And she pours off for each of you a cup of tea and some cider and leaves. As you guys are sitting there having your breakfast, a Decry walks through the door, and directly behind him is a male Decry who looks, you know, pretty well built, strong, well muscled. Certainly has a demeanor around him that's, points to him being skilled with the blade. And then a smaller female Decry beside him. And they sort of scan the space and go ahead and make a history DC 10 check. And Penny, you recognize the redheaded halfling or redheaded Decry is Fail Highfellow.
Oh God, let me put my head down real quick. It's my parole officer.
The two individuals with him are Blackie and Clatfoot. And Blackie and Catfoot are members of the Brothers of the Greenwood, and they were part of the group that helped bring you out. And Svel walks over to your table, nods, and says, Jedabink, it's a pleasure to see you. And Idris and Delbert, always good to see such upstanding folks. Penny, could we have a moment of your time?
Yeah, go ahead. What you need?
Perhaps this is best that we have this conversation in privacy if you are so inclined.
I mean, anything you say in front of me, you can say in front of me. All right, let's go somewhere else.
Blackie grabs a chair, sits the chair down behind Svel. Svel sits down with you. Sonny comes running up next to him and he says, "A cup of tea, please. I always enjoy some morning tea." And Blackie crosses his arms and stands behind him, and you see this little wizened older Decry, all right, thin. You know how when people's hands get old, they start to recess right down into the skin and gets a little sunken. That's how old this guy is. And Blackie sits behind him with his arms crossed. If you're sitting across from him, you see Sveil's head end about here, and then Blackie's chest and arms in silhouette behind him. All right, and then Catfoot just sort of, turns around and walks off into the room. Sonny brings his tea. He picks it up. The food's also always so very good here. So, Penny. So, I had a report that you might have told Fletcher to pull the oath off you. Is that true?
Yeah.
So, why'd you choose that? Just wanting to know, wanting to understand. And I respect so much you're willing to talk to me about this in front of your good friends.
Well, I didn't want that on me. Any type of magical thing trying to control me or hold me down. I'm not really about that life.
Well, as Decry, we respect that and we understand that. I think, that's one of the primary reasons that he let you off, that he gave you space to walk away from it because we've been bound and we've been trampled by the Afridi and by others. And in Blackmoor, we don't have to do that. And, part of the bond that we have with him is that the Wizards Cabal is a little bit conscious of what they do with us because they know that if a Decry comes to me and claims that they've been magically imprisoned or forced, I'm going to take that seriously. I'm going to bring that forward because we shouldn't have to suffer through that again. So I'm coming to you not because I didn't respect your choice, because I do, but to let you know that for your kinfolk, for all of us, you have to keep your secrecy to a certain extent. And Delbert, go ahead and make an Arcana check. Jenna, you may do the same.
Yeah, I promised that if I get captured, I'll do my best to die so they don't interrogate me and find out what I know.
Okay, Delbert, you don't know what's doing it or how it's occurring, but you are almost certain that what he is saying is not traveling farther away than like 3 feet from the table. So somehow Svale has masked and hidden this.
Okay.
So, well, I appreciate that, Penny, and I think that um, your oath is pretty good here. But I wanted you to know that this is a matter of security for the state, and we need you. And I put you out here, and I ask you to come and do this because I think you're capable of more than you know you are. I think, and I'm going to say this in front of your friends, that you're more than just a sneak thief and a cutthroat. I think you got potential to be one of them folks that changes the shape of the world if that's what you choose for yourself. Now, if you don't choose that, nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of folk that, have chosen to be another thing than what they are. But I just wanted you to know that I respect the choice you made, but we got high expectations for you, and I want you to be the best you can.
I believe you're referring to a gardener who changes the shape of the world. With their digging and their planting.
Don't mind him at all. He's challenged a little bit upstairs. You know what I mean? I think he got kicked in the face by a horse or something when he was a baby. But yeah. Just when he talks, just don't listen to those words coming out of his mouth.
Well, I mean, isn't it kind of like this guy is trying to tell you things? Like, I remember reading in a book, like, if the free keeper says you got to do something for the safety of your people, don't you have to, like, do it? I mean, I don't remember a lot, but I remember some things. I remember, wow, that's power.
I got the power if I compel anyone. If I say they gotta, they have to. But I'm not saying that in that way. I'm not asking someone to take a blood oath. Free will is important to us. Now, there's times when I have to ask someone to take a fall as freekeeper, to be the one that risks. And I have not put that so far on our good friend Penny. So, it's apparent to you that as Idris speaks, all of a sudden Catfoot is directly behind him. But at the same time, Penny, well, Blackie snorts and says, "Yeah, so here's the deal. We frickin' peeled Penny out of the Afridi prison camp, right? But as at the Greenwood, go ahead and we make a pretty hard strike. And Penny's the one that was getting them food. She was the one that made contact with us on the outside. She was the one that made it possible for a bunch of our kinfolk and Subtodians too to get free. And this was back before Penny knew a damn thing." And Svale looks over his shoulder, and Blackie goes, "Aye, sir." So I'm just saying to you, Penny, and I'll leave you to your breakfast and the things you got to do. The folk know who you are, even though you don't know that, and the folk have high expectations of what you can do. And I hope you know, life's more than just survival. Although you can't do the things you can do unless you survive. So, anything you'd like to say to me before I take my leave? And he takes a sip of his tea.
Oh no, I just I really want to thank everything you're doing for me and sending me on this death mission where I'm probably gonna die with these fine folks. Um, Again, thanks. You guys are the best. And Blackie, it's great seeing you again. Don't stumble into a sewer and die or something on the way out there. That would be real unfortunate.
Yeah, good to see you too. And Svale nods, smiles, and says, "Your sense of humor, so outstanding." He gets up and leaves. And Blackie nods to you and goes. And Catfoot on her way by looks over, Jenna's shoulder as she goes by, and she smiles at you and shakes her head, tips her head to you, and the three of them walk to the door, and the door opens up, and the guard on the outside looks through, sees it is acceptable for them to come out, pulls them out each one by one, so they can step out of the come back in, and into the city of Blackmoor.
I'll tip my hat to well, not the Catfoot as she leaves as well.
All right, what would we like to do today? Off to find Swatha Bundolin.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do.
All right.
I
Oh,
also need to do some shopping.
All right. How would you like to address that? So, you tell me how you want to break the day up, and I will organize the role play for you.
Well, I feel like we should go see um, Sweat the First.
And then do the shopping after we've talked all three of them.
That sounds acceptable.
The more information we have, the better it is for us to be able to plan. So I feel like we should go see her first, and then do our grocery shopping.
Excellent. All right, you guys head out at about 8:30 in the morning, the equivalent thereof, and every hour, the bell is struck for the hour that it is, and that's done by the temples throughout the city and one of the guild halls. So as you are traveling out to the city, I really like this illustration because, Blackmoor sits on a floodplain. There's a marsh adjacent to it, and you've got, marsh very much near it. So flooding's not uncommon, and you see a lot of areas close to the riverfront are built on this sort of two-tier structure where you've got an area below, which is fairly secure. So it elevates the more exposed areas of the frames of the building. And you see a lot of this. You see a lot of cutways, a lot of things going back and forth. I think this is a pretty good representation of the illustration. So it is Idris Regan, of course, and Delbert Galen know exactly where the Bendelin um, townhouse is. And townhouse is a very good description of what a lot of the nobles do. They will have their estates offline, and depending on their wealth, they will have a formal blockhouse with adjacent gardens, like Delbert Galen does, or they'll have a smaller complex of apartments like the Regans do, because the Regans have a much more large presence in their hometown. Or you'll have, if it's a smaller family, like the Bondolins, they'll have a small townhouse. So you make your way to his townhouse, big place. Got a garden wall around the outside. You can see fruit trees on the other side of the wall. The wall's about 10 foot tall. It's got spikes on the top of it. Pretty standard security. And there is a garden gate with a little window in it.
Are there any guards or anything like that around?
Not that are readily apparent. There is a bell that you can ring right next to the door.
I'll ring it.
All right. After about a minute or two, door pops open, little window in the front, and goes, "Good day. How can I help you?"
Hello, my name is Idris Regan. I brought some of my friends here to speak with Sawatha Bandolin regarding her time in the dungeons of Castle Blackmoor. I believe we are somewhat expected if she's been informed.
Well, sir, we'll have to wake him up. If you don't mind waiting in the garden here, and he opens a door and swings you in. And this guy's, set in straight livery. Colors of this family are obviously red and gray, so he is wearing a red tunic, gray trim, and a little blue eagle up on, his neck, where his collar is. And he says, "I will go get him." And there's a small fountain. There's a series of apple and almond, peach trees around. There's benches in the garden, and he walks into the house. He goes up a set of stairs into the house, and a maid comes running out, and she goes, "May I get you something to drink? Do you need water?
Yes, some water would be nice. Friends, anything for you?
Tea would be excellent. Thank you.
I'm
Anything else?"
fine, thank you.
Very good. You miss?
No, I'm good. I don't want to be charged for anything. People are real fancy, like, and stuff.
Mm, very good, miss. But you are a guest of the household. There would be no charge.
I know you noble people work. There's always a charge for something.
Very good, miss. And she goes upstairs and comes back about 5 minutes later with a cup of tea and a clay mug filled with water. She nods and leaves. Takes a bit. You guys are, waiting about 15 minutes, and then the gatekeeper, the pastor, comes back, and he says, The young lord is coming, sir, and madam, and sir. He had a rough night last night, and he's coming now. So about 10 minutes later, this scowling guy comes down the stairs into the garden. Sits down on a bench across from you, leans over on his knees, and goes, "Ugh, I got Chambers' own hangover. What do you want?"
Well, my friend, we've been sent here to talk to you about your time in the dungeons of Castle Blackmoor.
First of all, I'm not your friend, and you poor bastard. So, you're the next pile of dragon meat that's being jammed over the threshold down into the depths, then, huh? Hey, where's my wine?
Well, yes, that would be if we were unsuccessful as a team, but we are the best. We just are. We're going to go so far into the dungeons of Castle Blackmoor and bring back so much that your good eye will actually be able to see it.
Fuck you.
That's okay, friend.
My eye's fine. Well, it's prettier than it once was. See, I don't even know what this thing was. It tried to gouge it out, and it wasn't the same afterwards. But, well, all right. So you've been talked into going down below. Boy, I need this morning. Hair of the dog
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah, well, I see you're drinking. That's a
Yeah,
good sign. It's always good to see someone up in the morning getting things done. But,
I like to drink. It shuts it down, makes it easier.
right. And we need to turn it back on because I would like to know who went down in there with you into the dungeons.
Uh, well, I see. Let's see. Got a Galen, and you're one of those out city nobles, right? You're a Regan, right? Where are you from, anyhow?
Us?
Yeah, you.
We
No,
got
you. Who are you?
me. I'm Regan. I'm Idris Regan. We got our family got stuck here in Bramwald, after all the uprisings and rebellions. We sell weapons and armor. The best kind of things money can buy.
Oh, aren't you the guys that came over against the Iron Duke to support King Uther? Is that your family?
Yes, us and many others like them. I mean, we are one of the best that does that, but there's lots of us here that do that. Some of them are even barons. We're not barons, but they are.
Well, Galen's I know, but the Galen's been placed in Blackmoor for a long time. Regan's I knew the name, but I don't think I've met you or much of your family before. So,
No, we like
uh,
to stay in the background, moving the armor, moving the weapons. And as he's like getting it together, I'm just gonna take out my playing cards and start, dealing out
no,
in front of him.
I'm not playing cards. Forget it, man. Ugh.
Goes well with the drinking. It'll help pass the time.
So, drinking goes well with drinking. It makes you nice and numb. So, Delbert, is this your validation? Did these people talk you into going down into the freaking dungeons of Castle Blackmoor for your validation? Are you insane? You know how many young men and our women have been fed into that wheat grinder? Oh, for the good of the state. Is that what you're freaking doing?
Well, when you put it like that, you make it sound bad.
My brother's dead. My fiance is dead. Two of my friends dead. Five of us went in. I crawled back out, half goddamn insane, and with things stuck in my head I haven't been able to get rid of. And they're sending the four, five. How many of them are you?
It depends. If I move really fast back and forth, there's two of me.
4.
Four. All right, well, four. So at least they're trying to cut their losses. So the four of you are going down in there. Oh, all right. So I suppose I'm supposed to. Oh, wow. My head's beating like a drum. I suppose I'm supposed to help you and tell you what happened down there.
Anything you can do to prepare us would be great.
So it's just So you go down, and the air is different. I don't know how to describe it. It's like walking from a wet room into a dry room, and it doesn't make sense because it's just a different space and place. And every time you go in, it's like it's different. And I don't know how we fought and encountered the things we thought and encounters. I mean, so here's all I. So I'm not a holy warrior. All right, I'm no priest. All I'm good at least all I used to be good at before the drink got me and he pats this obvious belly that's been created by consuming too much carbs. I used to be good with a great sword, and I like to fight. It was the only thing I was good at. But anyhow, 3 years ago, right after the kissing day, we had our last fight down there, and trolls, trolls, yeah, trolls. We walk into this massive, huge freaking cavern. It's illuminated like nothing else is illuminated down there. It was like sunlight, but it was a different color than sun. It was that heavy, but it wasn't right. It wasn't the yellow white that you're used to. It had this greenish taint to it. But anyhow, there's this forest of fungus as far as you could see. I mean, you could see the edge of the cavern, and we start to move through it, and all of a sudden trolls start coming, and I waited out. She gave me a sword, and that sword, I mean, it helped, and we were gonna die, and she just showed up, and she gave me the sword, and
Wait,
I
wait, who? Who
um
gave you what?
she she I ended up with the sword when we came back one time, and she gave it to me. I remember we were fighting, and I thought we were gonna die, and she gave me this sword. Actually, she killed something, and she handed it to me, and then I could kind of hear her talk to me. Um, but I lost the sword. I don't know where the sword went.
Can I roll an insight check to, at least from my perspective, determine his intelligence and or how messed up in the head he is? Because clearly he is talking about someone that I have no idea who he's talking about.
Please go right ahead into tower, please. Humans sometimes don't make sense and are nonlinear in terms of how they communicate data. You will have to do further interrogation in an attempt to get him to restructure his narrative in such a way that it appears causal, because you can find no causality at this point to illuminate his intention.
I'm confused here. Who's she? Is she like a person's name or like she he? I heard a she he before, but I never heard a she. Is that like some weird Estonian name person thing?
No, no, I mean it was
Was it your fiance?
no, 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 not my fiance. Uh, I can't remember. Um,
Where did
so
you meet her?
we were below. We were below. We had oh, there was this chessboard. It was huge, and the tall, long snake things with human heads, nagas. Do you know what those are?
I
So
don't know. Do I know what they are?
yeah, go ahead and make a Arcana check.
No, I don't know what that is, but that sounds terrible. See, I told you all we were going to our certain deaths in this place.
Yeah, anybody who breaks a 10, and in general, drop it in tower, please. But anybody who breaks a 10 knows that. Well, all right, those are magical creatures. They have extraplanar capabilities sometimes. Depends on the specific strain of Naga. But you know the general background that these are magical spell-using creatures that can be good, can be evil, can be malign, can be benign. Just depends on who they are. And he said, so these Nagas had this chessboard, and when we stepped out onto the chessboard, they possessed us, and we ended up, well, they didn't possess us. It's just we couldn't move forward of our own free will. They kind of moved us across the board, and you could argue with them about the choices they were making and influence them to make better choices. But the Naga who was using us, anyhow, um, I was gonna die, and this like ogre thing was smashing me down, and there was this flash, and there she was there. I can't, who is she? I can't put my brain around her. I just remember she, but she was there, and she struck it, and then I had the sword in my hand, and she kept talking to me. I remember that she wanted me to. Um, she said I could be. She said she could show me things that she knew the tower, that she knew the dungeon, and that I could be. But she wanted like me to swear things to her, and I wasn't swearing anything to anybody. Fuck that. I mean, I was, I'm just a guy. I hit things with my sword and knock it down. I mean, so Dad pimps me out for this because I'm the fourth son, right? I'm pretty useless to him, so he sends me off on this. And I mean, I'm not gonna. I didn't know what this thing was, but I took the sword, and so I.
When he says that part about the fourth son, I'm gonna switch over to uh high common. I guess because he's a noble.
You're gonna use Chael then? High common? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm gonna basically say to him, I understand what it's like. A fourth son. I'm a third son. I'm not looking for this either, but you were saying that they sent you away. Well, why would they do that? Was there nothing else within your family? What was the reason that they pimped you out for this?
Go ahead and make a persuasion check into tower, please.
Hey, Penny, do you understand what he just said? Because I heard something about fourth tee and polish the silverware.
No, I'm pretty sure when somebody speaks in a language that you don't understand, it means they're talking about you. So they're probably saying something about short folks, if I had to guess. They're being rude.
Hmm.
You know, uh, if the rack could give you more than three inspirations, both of you would get one just now, but I can't, so I'm just gonna say, bravo, bravo. Anyhow, Idris, he goes, well, yeah, so you get it then, right? It's like, so it's a chessboard, right? I'm saying chessboard before, but it's a chessboard with the noble houses. I mean, I'm not the first son. I'm not the second son. I'm not the third son. I'm not brainy. I can't be a merchant. I'm not really going to be successful in any, any of the holy orders. I mean, I'm just tough, right? And I know how to use my sword, So they had me lined up to marry Lisette, and that would have been a good family alliance. And her dad and my dad figured they'd send us down there together, and they might be able, I think, to get some political capital out of it because that's the way they are. But anyhow, so I just didn't have value to him, right? That's the way I think about it. Because when I look at the risk that they put us through, me and her and my brother,
He sent all of you down there at once.
what?
Was it he said your brother, your sister, and you all at the same time?
Yeah, yeah. The friend,
Were you the second, third, and fourth kids?
no, 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 no. Lisette's, from another noble house, the Undolans, and you know the Undolans. And my fiance, she was going to marry me. And then my third brother, and we were both were just big tough kids, right? And I was supposed to protect him. That's the entire reason I got sent, you know. And then there was Durbin who traveled with us too, and he was a dwarf, and he got picked, right? And then there was this Kabbalist called Alistair. So five of us went down, and Durbin worshipped, the rock metal god that the dwarves had. Oh, my head hurts.
I'll use my massive knowledge of dwarf religion.
Clem. Clearly, it was Clem. Clem, the
Clem.
dwarven metal god. Most likely, it's Hearn is who he's talking about. But, ugh. So,
And as he starts talking back about his team members, I'm gonna like, you know how people talk in English and Spanish at the same time. I'm gonna work my way down from high common back into common.
okay.
Yeah.
So he's responded to you in Chael. He's very comfortable with it. Delbert clearly understands Chael, High Common.
Hmm.
Um, oh, and Swetha looks at the two of you and he goes, "Yeah, we were just talking about family stuff. That's all. I mean, he wanted to know why if he couldn't believe that Dad sent all of us, and here's the thing, Idris, right? He had this big thing about Uther needs us, defense of the state, risk for the state, darkness below, and I mean, God, it's by oh dear, it's true, right? It's true. Something's down there. It's horrible, you know.
Yeah, but there's no reason you all should be sacrificed for that, just so you can become validated. You asked Delbert why he's going down there. I'm going for myself. You should be doing things for yourself as well, not for anybody else. Because in the end, if you do make it, you're going to have to deal with all that stuff afterwards. There's no point in
Now,
going out and doing things for king and country if you ain't going to get back.
I think both things are true. I mean, I have no problem making a sacrifice for the good of the realm. At least I think that, even though I lost everything. I mean, sometimes some things are bigger than you, but some things validation's important. When Uther said that all of us as nobles must spend 5 years in the world, living with the common people, adventuring, supporting the state, I mean, supporting the realm, I think that's important because, I mean, what's wrong with Donia? There's too many spoiled kids who grow up and never know what it's like to have to cook half-rotted meat out in the field because you're on campaign, who never know what the peasants go through when it's a bad winter, who never know what hardship is, right? And so I think that's important. I believe in it. I understand it. But at the same time, yeah, there's a hurt and empty and hollow spot inside of me. I lost my friends. I feel like I lost my future. I'm not going to be validated. I'm just a member of the household. I'm never going to be a sir or a lord now. I don't want that.
Well, I mean, validation, while it may not seem like it's all it's cracked up to be, it opens doors, my friend. Doors everywhere once you get through it. I personally think it's just a way to keep us down. Because, you talk about we got to cook, we got to learn how to get along with people, but they're really just getting rid of us. So that way there's not that many of us.
Wow, your dad's a bigger dick than mine.
Well, I mean, he does have 4 children, and his fourth child, my sister, is a bigger success than me. I mean, look, I only became a paladin for the free remove diseases. You got to have goals, my friend Suetha, goals.
Go ahead and take inspiration for that. Um, well,
I mean, look, do I think I'm going to make it out? Of course. I'm that big of a success. And don't you worry, when I come back out, you'll know it. And if I don't, you'll wonder, where is Idris? Just know I'm not dead. I'm still down there trying to figure out how to be a big success.
well, I think you're all fucking meat, but I wish you best of luck. Listen, is there anything else you want from me, or can I go soak this out of me? Start
Do
on
you have
today's
that great
bender.
sword still?
No, no, I don't know. It's like when I try and fix my mind on that, something's gone. I can remember some events. I can't see her face. I just remember white light. And so so here's the thing about that place. Here's the thing about the dungeons of Castle Blackmoor. It's like I always thought that there was an intelligence working against us. I always felt like we would do things and it learned about us. It learned us. It learned how we would respond. It learned how we thought. So there's something there. Maybe a lot of somethings, I don't know, but it's not just so I've been on campaign. right? So I fought a Freedy. I know when you fight a foe, the foe responds to you and it learns from you, but I felt observed. You get that feeling on your back that somebody's looking at you and your hair kind of stands on end. That would happen a lot. So Alistair said it was like being scried. He said it was like we were being observed magically, and that really helped me kind of understand it. But there's something there in the darkness that watches you. I don't know what it is, but you could feel it.
Well, if it's any consolation to you, our prior research has indicated that others have felt the same. So your sample size has increased by at least one.
I wouldn't call that a consolation, but it's interesting. Oh, so who are you?
I'm Genabink Fizzy Club.
Oh, pleasure to meet you, Jenna Bank. uh, you're a gnome, right?
Yes, I am a gnome. That is very astutely observed by you. Should I use smaller words? Are my words too big for you?
And he looks over at Zidris and he's like, "No, you're doing okay. I'm following. So now talk to me about 4 or 5 hours. You might have to use itty bitty words, but right now I'm kind of okay."
I also pack crayons in my bag in case I have to explain things in diagrams for people like you.
Why, thank you so much.
It's very colorful. I appreciate it all the time.
Um, Go ahead
She
and
really doesn't mean insult.
so
Well, no, I mean, everyone has a certain learning speed and aptitude. I'm trying simply to accommodate those.
It's true. She's not being short with you. It's okay.
Yeah, I watched her explain to Idris where the baby birds come from the other day from the mama bird. He thought it was like a stork that dropped it off. It wasn't.
I mean, that's what I saw in all the education classes I got in the Royal Noble Academies when I was growing up.
Yes, the process is actually far more complicated. Would you like to explain it? Make me to explain it?
You don't want to know what a cloaca is. Trust me, it's something I never wanted to know in my entire life. So I would just say no.
I've got an appointment with 4 bottles of Ringlow Hall White. That's this afternoon's plan. That's this morning's plan. All right. And as you're watching him, I mean, there's some DTs going on here. Clearly, this guy is an alcoholic. Don't have to make a medical roll for it. You've all seen it at some point or another, all right? So he's got a little bit of shake at times, and he is getting the booze hunger. What he's drinking isn't enough for him. Is there anything else you need from me, or can I go get something to drink? I mean, I have things I gotta do. I got plans for my day.
No, thank you.
All right.
And enjoy drinking yourself to death. You're doing a great job. We're all very proud of you. But we appreciate your time.
Yeah, get out. Go. Pleasure talking to you. I've done my duty to the realm. Get the fuck out of my garden.
Well, it's a lovely garden with great shrubs as I walk out.
All right.
Following.
Something that's apparent to you. Have you guys ever been around somebody who drank way too much and you could almost smell the beer or the grain alcohol coming out of their sweat? That's how far along this guy is. All right, he starts to stink of the booze that he's drinking all the time. So, all right. What would we like to do next?
He's not the last. He's just the last of the sons, right? There's other sons still. There's
Yeah,
other air. Okay, yeah.
yeah. So he's got older brother and an older sister, and it's not purely patrilineal. You can be a woman, keep the name and the ownership if you're the oldest child or the second child. So it doesn't automatically default by son. So that's just most common. and that's straight from the Havlings. It's something that's been incorporated into the culture.
Okay.
All right, we're about to have a flashback. Title of this flashback was "Where Was Idris?" So, Idris, you go off your appointment the other day, and you meet with your sister, Patrice. And she had told you she was going to be in town and that she wanted to talk to you, and she has things that really, really, really concern her about what's going on. She had sent you a very vague letter in kind of the family code saying, need to talk to you, very important. I'll be in town on this day. And so she met you at your apartments, and she says, I think we need to go to a walk. And she's not dressed in the full plate, although you know she's also taken holy orders too. She says, I think we ought to go for the walk. How do you feel about copper skewers of prawns? I think, let's go down to the bay, find one of the street side shops and get something to eat. Sound like something you'd like to do, brother?
Yes, Patrice, we can. It's not like I have other things to do today.
So she walks with you with her hands behind her back. And you guys are enjoying the city. You're strolling, and it's small talk for the most part. She's talking about your dad, your brothers, things like that. And she says, I very much don't want to be in any place that's the families right now, to be honest with you. I don't want to be any place where we can be easily observed or overheard. And I'm glad that you were able to meet with me and talk to me. I just am worried.
Worried about what? It's fine. Dad's gonna pay and get the grades fixed. I'm gonna graduate. I'm gonna go on to validation. No problem here. Look, I'm a probationary paladin. I mean, life can't get better.
I just took the oath of crown and have taken holy orders with Sakwan. And
Oh, look who's ahead of me, but is still behind me in age. Why always showing up your older brother, Patrice?
you have different priorities, Idris. So you were the one, though, that would not steal the apples nor steal the pressed cider, and I did. So you have that part of yourself. Now, you were more than willing to buy some of the cider from my father at a discount and remarket it for profit, but that's a different part of it. So I think it was you just figuring out what you want to be. That's all. Do you know what oath you will swear? Have you determined that yet?
I don't know. The crown looks nice, but there's others. I'm still trying to like find myself. I figure I've got some time. It's not like I'm pressing ahead. I like these lower sections of the orders where there's not a lot of responsibilities.
Will you bind yourself to Odir?
Yeah, he seems a little too straight laced for me. Maybe a little more to Hirsch, a little more freewheeling, a little more dealing. Might be a paladin there. I could see that in my future.
So, do you think you have the strength to bind yourself to these orders? Do you?
Well, of course. I mean, I'm doing it, aren't I? I mean, it's not like it's that hard. You put your hand on the book, you swear to the all powerful deity above. They grant you their funky powers, and you do what they tell you to do. Like we've been doing all our lives, Patrice. It's not like we're number one. We're number three and number four. And together that makes seven. And that puts us under the floor.
So, Father is quite angry with me right now. And you guys come up on the stall, and you know that she's heading to, and you've actually been to this particular one with her before, and you're looking over top of the bay, the nice, kind of a beautiful sight. There's sailing ships and fishing boats out there, one cog coming into the harbor, and the shrimp is coated with honey, glazed with garlic and a little bit of mint. It's really good, and she buys two, long skewers for you, and she also gets two glasses of cider for you, sacks, leather sacks, and you're standing there, drinking it. And she goes, I have angered father. He wanted me to become a priest within the Order of Saquin because I would be more positioned to defend the family's priorities and support them. and by choosing holy orders and becoming an adventuring knight, I have severed myself from the power structure as he sees it. That may change what he asks of you. What will you do if Father gives you direction to do something you don't want? Hmm?
Well, I don't have to worry about that because I've got other things in motion that I can't talk about here
You don't
or
share your secrets with
ever.
me?
Not these secrets, but I tell you they're big, huge, amazing, but I can't tell you.
Brother, are you bound by oath?
Of course not. No, I'm not bound by an oath of anything at all. But I'll tell you this, if you've angered father, that makes me happy.
Don't lie to me.
Look, scan me. Use your magical, God-given, divine
I
powers and see.
don't need that. I've known you my entire life. I can tell when you're misleading. So, come on. Are you bound by an oath?
I am telling you that I am not bound by any oaths that you would know of. It's the truth. Nothing at all. I'm
So,
simply choosing to exercise my right not to talk about things. I've ran my mouth too much in these last couple of years. Got to keep it on the DL, my friend.
so you have a secret you don't feel you can share with me.
Well, I mean, look what happened when father found out about what you did. If he found out what I was planning, you'd only have two brothers instead of three.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, I know he's going to cut the money off at some point, you know, so I got to get it together. I got options.
He has for
But
me.
you not choosing to do what father did and swear yourself to Saquin, I always knew you liked big swords, not tiny swords, so it kind of fits.
Oh, brother. I I had some choices I needed to make for myself, and I wanted very much. It's about the commons. It's about justice. So one of the things that happens in Vestfold, because you're in such close proximity to the Cabal, is you see in some ways the different threats that come to Blackmoor. So I have been in the field supporting the priests, fighting Afridi. I have been into the depths and hearts of the swamps, finding ruins that were filled with things of malign intent and that were ancient. So we create this bubble through our actions that protects the common and gives them the best possible life. And so the priests have told me that the higher you are in the god's favor, the more clearly that the god speaks to you. And Saquin, I believe, has filled me with the certainty that I am the path that is best for me and for her. And she values my ability to fight well with a sword. And she's a little bit bigger than you. This is a relatively large woman. She's stronger than you. You know that. Physically, she's got a presence. She hasn't ever been able to talk people into things with the degree of success that you have. All right, you're always a cute baby. You were always a cute brother that could get away with stuff in the household. She didn't have that skill. But she says, I just want you to be aware more than anything else that the choices I made have been right for me, and you should make the ones that are right for you. But be aware, I do not always think Father takes actions that are best for us, and sometimes I must question the actions he takes in relationship to the realm. He seems driven by greed, brother. Greed. It's more than selling arms and armor, I think. We have an obligation as people who lead that Uther has shown us. We must protect and grow the safe place for everyone and bring other people into that aegis of protection as we're able and they so desire.
Well, and that's what we do by selling the best arms and armor this side of the Misaga River. I mean, the only person who's better than us right now is Ukane's arms and wares, and that poor bastard. Yeah, we're never going to catch up to him, so we got to do what we can do.
Well, most certainly that is the best component of the family business, that we do offer protection and support for everyone to the weapons and armor that we bring in. But, well, very good then. Just be aware, be ready. He will come to you, I am certain, and he will move you to a different place. He will make other decisions with you because he has lost control that he planned on using me for.
Ah, well, He won't have much time left to control me either. By the way, is that a great sword?
Oh, this is a bastard sword.
A bastard sword.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can use it one-handed or two-handed. So she says, I have tried the old hook sword, and that has some interest to me. Really has the balance and weight of a long sword. Really, it's just a difference in shape. I've also been able to work and train with the elven longsword too, and that is very, very similar to the bastard sword, except it's a single blade with a longer curve. And I have fought with a great sword, but I prefer the flexibility of being able to add a shield to the combination, and the bastard sword allows me to flow back and forth between the two.
That's an interesting thing to know. I might be needing to switch myself up in the next couple days. Good pro tips.
You should concentrate on not being struck down, my brother.
Oh, nobody touches this. I'm the best. It's not like you could lay your sword on me before.
You, brother, would you like to spar?
Well, of course. I mean, I am the greatest.
Um, do you want to roll through this, or we just gonna accept that she spanks you into next Tuesday?
We can accept that, but that is not the story that will be told at all. It was a glorious victory, sister. Well, hard fought, but in the end, I am still standing. I have not been vanquished.
And she hugs you, puts her arm around you, and says, "Back to your friends. Sorry I pulled you out of some of your duties today, but I very much wanted you to understand what I see before us. So thank you, brother. It is
Let me ask you.
good to see you. Yes, yes. What would
Let
you
me
do?
ask you one other question. Yeah, you've broken away from father, technically, but if he tries to get you to marry, what will you do?
I will consult with the priests and see what they think is the best course of action for me and for them. I imagine, though, that one of my oaths at this point is an oath of chastity. And if that time comes, it will not be any time in the near future. I have spun myself away from him in the choice that I made as a knight. And part of his rage, I think, is that he cannot use me to secure a political connection with another house. I have bound myself, in effect, in marriage to the church, to the oath that I have sworn. Such may not be the same for you based on the oath that you swear and the holy orders that you take, but I'm a shield knight of Sakwin. I have sworn the oath of the crown. I am committed to upholding the safety of the land and the expansion of civilization into as many households as we can expand it. So,
Well, it's good to know Crown is now strucken from my list.
yes,
I can't be doing that. There's too many decades on this earth to be throwing around the C word like that.
the sacrifice you make of that part of yourself empowers other parts of yourself. So, well, brother, be safe. I don't know what you plan, but I will keep the non secrets that you have not shared. Just be safe. Not everything you can evade through a honeyed tongue. Some things require trial of arms and conflict, and that has never been your strength. Be careful, brother.
Well, I will, and that is why I'm working on my shimmy and my two-step.
You did better than you've done before. I will give you that, absolutely.
Yes, I'm
And
working on something that's called the electric slide. You move to the left, you take 2 steps back, and then you wave. It should really put the fright into them.
I hope you were right. So, I will say, as a courtier, your moves as a dancer are exquisite. And I remember as we were with the dancing coach and the elocution coach, this is the areas that you excelled at. So this is one of the things that Father valued with you. He would have you argue how many solars could dance on the end of a pin, and you would stand for hours speaking in broad circles that made it seem feasible that it was as many as you decided for that moment. And of course, the young girls run to you when you dance. So, there are some parts of nobility that you have taken quite well to, I can tell.
Well, don't you worry, because I dance like a Kumasti and sting like a Western.
Uh, Good day. And you've walked back. You're in front of your apartments and your chambers. And she bows to you and says, "Be safe, brother. I shall miss you. Watch for my letters."
Will do.
And she leaves. Okay, end of flashback. We have shopping we wanted to do in the city.
Yes, some basic
Yep.
stuff for me. Does anyone else have stuff?
There is only
Yep.
one set of tools I would need to have purchased, which probably would have been done last night with some other unscrupulous people.
All right.
I need Blackmoor Costco because I need like gallons of oil.
Gallons. Where are you gonna store all that oil?
You look strong.
That's the operative word. Looks.
um, you are you have some connections. There is a dry goods store very close to the university that you have been to on numerous occasions, and that your parents use for supply for things like bar stock and sheet metal and some gearing, lubricants, things like that. So you have a place you can go to and you can buy whatever supplies you need. As for you were looking for a shield too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there are four different weapons and armor shops, and there's actually one in the city owned by the Regans that you can go to and pick up a shield with no problem at all.
Might even
Then
get you a discount. Family and all.
Absolutely, if you are successful in making a persuasion check, you can knock 10% off that price with no difficulty at all. More if you roll higher. So go ahead and drop a persuasion check into the tower.
Well, that is
And
definitely not the persuasion button.
they're a little resistant to you compared to how they normally are when you show up, but you were able to talk them into a 10% discount without any difficulty at all. I think you've been probably kicking too many families out, or they're having a bad day selling, but you're able to get uh, a 10% discount.
I may even purchase something myself.
All right, go for it. If everybody looks on their character sheets, let me. I'm going to pop one up here. Um, Jen, I'll use yours if everybody's good with that. On your character sheets, if you look on the action tab, I've made potion of healing an active item that you can click on. So you can, go ahead. If you go and you move it into actions mode, you can see directly to the right of the potion the healing effect. And I've set the potions so it will check off that box. You'll need to reduce it from your inventory, but I've come up with a mechanism in Fantasy Grounds for us to be able to track that fairly effectively. Also directly, you'll find hero points there. The rules for hero points are in the Dungeon Master's Guide, but if you go over in the notes field, I've also summarized hero points for you in a tab, and that's a cut and paste directly out of the Dungeon Master's Guide, so you have access to that. In effect, you can use it in two ways. You can use it to add 1d6 for the cost of one hero point to any d20 roll you make, and you can do that after the roll if you feel you need to. Second thing you can do is you can use it to automatically make a death saving throw. And I put those out there for everyone, so you just have a little bit more amped up performance. I want you to be able to, try and do heroic and wonderful things, and it also allows me to throw bigger and scarier things at you, which is fun for me. Finally, if we're looking for the impact of light sources, I went and collected out of the equipment guide all the different light sources. They're available also, so you can go ahead and take a look at that. All right, and those are public documents over in the note file, and so it defines exactly what is bright light and what the radius is for dim light. So those things are out there for you, just to drop into mechanics a little bit for a bit. Um, all right, so any other shopping we want to do, and you probably need to seek out Fletcher William and find out about securing the seal, I would imagine. Do it, Idris. You had 25 gold pieces total. I have not thrown that onto your character sheet. Go ahead and reconcile that and drop
Oh,
into
I
chat.
already did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just marking off in the chat the things I'm buying that are. I'm just pulling some adventuring gear, so I'm just writing it out here.
So Jenna Bink comes out she's got a new shield she's wearing. She's got a lantern that she's carrying, and she's got 2 freaking gallons of oil. All right. Big
Actually,
clay.
technically, I have 7.57 liters of oil because the imperial system of measurement is not good for research purposes.
Very good. She has 2 large containers of oil, all right, made out of clay, wrapped in netting so they can be attached easily to a backpack. Penny, you picked up the appropriate tools to support you in various tasks, correct?
Correct.
All right, what y'all gonna do?
Did you also grab a lantern?
I did.
I'm working on it.
Perhaps I should get a lantern as well.
I also have 10 torches.
And if Idris is carrying the oil stuff, if something hits him with fire, we'll have plenty of light source because he'll go up like one big torch.
So I'm going to purchase a lantern as well.
Very good.
But while I'm in there, I'm also going to purchase a doll.
A doll?
A doll.
Okay, you can do that, absolutely. How much of a
Okay.
doll do you want to get?
Um,
Do you want to get high end made out of porcelain? Do you want to get a rag doll? I mean, what do you want to get? And
no, this is more in the neighborhood of like something a child could play with, and not something for display, but something to play with.
you can get, for 2 copper pieces, you can get a fine little Raggedy Ann style doll or teddy bear.
Perfect.
All right.
And that is for Megan, my youngest sister.
Excellent. Excellent. And so go ahead and make the appropriate adjustments to your gear. And how does, let's see, we are just past our first hour a little bit. How does everybody feel about a 5-minute bio break?
That'd be
Sounds
great.
good.
Okay.
Outstanding, brothers and sisters. See you back in 5.
Okay.
In 5. Enjoy that gift, Ted.
I did. Thank you.
So is the plan to start castle today?
Absolutely, that'll happen.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh man, there we go. I can sell things back, right? Okay. Yeah. I don't plan on making much, but I'm just like, this is way too much stuff on me. So that's 1 gold. Okay.
Yeah, I took back a gold since I got a 10% discount on a shield.
Yeah. Those gotta go. Anyone want 10 free torches?
I have 10 already, thank you.
You can drop them up into the party sheet.
Ooh, good call.
Oh yeah.
And then we can divvy out according to what we can hold.
Not carried. Okay. Oh, duh, you can't go in there without that. Yep.
I am here.
Yep.
Good to go.
Do it.
All right, we are back. All right, so what is our plan for the day? We have Ben and met with our noble companion, Swatha. We have also gotten some of our shopping done. If you remember correctly, you need to secure the King's Seal, one that is magically attuned to the gates of the dungeons of Castle Blackmoor, and you need to use that to secure access. He had really wanted you to get there within a week. What is your plan? How do you want to approach that?
Well, I think I'm ready to commence my research. Did you want to do this tomorrow?
Yeah, we could do one last night out on the town.
I mean, what do you need to research? We're just going into like some hole that seems to be filled with a bunch of random stuff all the time and terrible.
Well, no. That is the research. I need to determine, the approximate rotation of the terrible things, as you put it.
Yeah, but they're all going to be approximates, right? You're not going to really know anything.
I won't know until I observe it.
Then why don't we go get observing?
How late in the day is it, Ted?
You're probably coming up on 4 o'clock at this point.
Well, it's kind of late in the day to start that kind of research, and I want to have the longevity to really get into it and get my teeth into it, or else, well, and not literally my teeth into it. One never bites one's research.
What if one's researching delicious cheeses and meats?
Oh, then absolutely.
I'm an expert.
All right, so let's go sample some cheeses and meats then, so you can do some research, and then I guess we go tomorrow morning.
That sounds like a plan. We can get some, really dry aged, venison meat cuts with a little of that gnome soft cheese spread.
Oh yes, that stuff's excellent.
It definitely is quality.
So it sounds like dinner at the come back in, and then we're gonna sleep and do whatever, and then breakfast, and
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
head
gonna
out.
try and win a little more money before I die.
I'm going to work on my tinkering overnight, and which will one prepare spells, and two, I'm going to have a little. I'm going to make my tinker toy look like a little egg on a little roller cart. So I have a clockwork toy that now looks like an egg rolling around on a little cart.
Very cool. Understood. Very good. Delbert, go ahead and make a charisma check, please.
Just straight charisma.
Straight charisma check, yeah. Things your social awareness would tell you. And please drop it in the tower. In general, put it in the tower unless I tell you otherwise. All right, very good. Go right ahead. All right, so come back in, major party. Are we talking to Fletcher William today, or are we going to try and do that first thing in the morning?
Would we have time to knock that out today prior to heading out?
Yeah, you probably could because the shopping you've been doing has been up close to where the University of Blackmoor is in the city, so you could go to his offices, and if he's there, great. If he's not there, they'll tell you where you need to go to find him.
All right,
I'm fine with
go.
that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
All right. Now you've all been to the University of Blackmoor before. You've been in residence, you're students there for the most part, or you've done extensive courier work like Penny has done for different professors and different people within the University of Blackmoor. So you are able to go to the Master's Hall and go to the offices that overlook the main compound and overlook the Great Central Square where the buildings ring it. And you go directly to Fletcher Williams' offices, and his adjunct is sitting out there, who is a little wizened halfling woman. And she sees you and she goes, "Yeah, the master said you might be coming. Do you need him?"
I mean, not him per se, but like a thing he can give us to like maybe he left it here for us, an envelope, maybe addressed to I don't know, death group.
I would like to point out that it is very socially inappropriate for Decry to ask a human male for any of his things. Hey, I'll go find him. She goes off into his room, and Fletcher William comes walking out to see you. And Fletcher smiles. Really, he just lights up when he sees all of you.
How's it going, Fletch?
Just going very, very well. And how are all of you?
Oh, just preparing arrangements and stuff, notifying next of kin, all that kind of good things.
It's always important to prepare appropriately. So I have a very good feeling for you, though. This is one of the most outstanding groups, if not the most outstanding group that we have assembled. So I believe you will be fine. But it's important to be aware of risk. When would you like to embark?
I believe our plan is to do so in the morning.
So you will require Uther Seal then?
Yes, please.
So he says, I will meet you at Castle Blackmoor at the front gates with the appropriate seal tomorrow at 2 bells past sunrise, which is about 8 a.m. And we will embark. I will let the Kamasti wardens of the dungeon know that you will be arriving, and we will proceed. You have all spoken to your family. You have gone to the church to seek absolution. You have prepared yourself physically and spiritually then for this journey.
Yes, I have hired a bard to write down our adventures under the name of Penny and the Rest. I believe you could even perform it for us if we make it back in time.
I actually like that title.
I'm looking forward to seeing the success of your journey and your adventures. I'm frankly concerned for you, but at the same time, I have great confidence in your abilities. And I think if any I have sent below have the greatest chance of success, it is indeed this group. That being said, um, good luck. Enjoy your night tonight, and I will meet you 2 bells past sunrise at the gates of Castle Blackmoor, and we will descend. So,
By the way,
Oh,
Tad,
so we're going downward.
I threw a insight check in there to see if he was being on the up and up about how he thinks we're the best group he's ever sent.
he seems sincere. I mean, and when you professionally, when you assess the skill set of the group that you've got, you have um, nice group. It's interesting the way the combination of powers go together. And one of the things that's clear to you is you have different skill sets than other groups that they have sent down. To your knowledge, this is the first artificer that they've sent down. And the focus on someone like Idris, who is more socially competent than perhaps martially competent, tells you some things. And clearly, you can do whatever is needed. You are very adept in combat, and at the same time, you can secure access to any sort of device that's locked as needed. And of course, Delbert is one of the most interesting and intelligent humans you've ever met. So you think it's an interesting mix of folks, and you're feeling pretty good about it. And he seems to be also. You sense anxiety, but I mean, how many? It's been 17 groups that have died prior to this, or been wiped out, or come back damaged. So he's nervous for you, but he has confidence in you.
Clearly, all previous groups lacked arcane science.
They did lack arcane science, absolutely.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure getting to know you in our brief experience. I guess we'll see you in the morning.
You will. Best of luck to you all. All right, so you leave his office, head back to the come back in?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Anything you want to do tonight, or are we getting ready to head in?
Ooh, I am stopping by my parents to leave them a copy of any notes that I've taken, to, just in case something happens, so that, my work can be published posthumously.
So they are glad to see you, and they, greet you when you arrive, and they're very much um, concerned for you, but aware that you have to do this. So your father is, oh well, I very much hope that you are fine, and you will do well, and we are worried for you, but Jedabink, one must take risks to achieve knowledge, and we know you are completely aware of the risks that you're taking, and ready to do what you have to do. And Zola's like, Pagudi, calm down. Somebody here, you'll be fine. Enjoy yourself. I will make certain that if you are unable to return to us, that appropriate research is posted and/or published. But I imagine um, you will be fine. Now, I do need you to make a promise to me, dear, if you will.
What do you want?
I have had that individuals that are slain within the dungeons and return, when offered the opportunity to come back into their flesh, choose not to. I would like you to promise me that if that unfortunate deed should occur and that opportunity be presented yourself, that you will promise to come back to us to complete your research. will you promise to come back to us to complete your research because your research is so important?
Oh, so you want me to choose the option to be reincarnated, possibly?
Yes, 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 yes. And I've heard that folks won't do that, and I very much want you to.
Oh, well, why would I choose the dark blackness of oblivion versus, more research? I mean, I could come back as something fantastic like a half orc, and then I could experience how that works while still having my intelligence, and that would be amazing.
I love you so much, dear. Although I don't know if our dental plan would address and cover you appropriately as a half orc.
Hmm. Well, hopefully by that point I will have acquired some gold and will be able to handle my own insurance. Or possibly Blackmoor would take the advanced step of having universal health care.
One could help. Do you have anything else you'd like to say to your parents?
No, thank you. I'm good.
All right, awesome. Okay, anybody else do anything tonight with their families?
I'm going to spend the night with the Galen family.
Okay.
Um, One of the things that I'm going to do is take a small strip of paper and write something on it, and roll roll it up into a nice, neat little uh, coil, and um, rip the head off the doll, stuff it in there, and mend the doll head back on.
Awesome. So they make a big deal out of your dinner tonight. All right. And your father's present, your mother's present, Colin and his wife are present. Megan is so excited to see you. All she's really processed here is that you're going to be an adventurer. That's all she's really, really processed here. So, and the family is very, very, very glad to see you. And your nephew, Robert, too, is very glad to see you also. So, um,
Hey, little bit, I got you something, and I'll hand her the doll.
she hugged you. Oh, Albert! So, Daddy says you'll have to go someplace and prove that you can be a noble. Are you going to be okay?
I think so. I think I'll be fine.
So, well, be safe. I need you to come home. So, I think, I've been reading that book that you showed me, and I think I understand how the words go together with the emotions to make the weave break into your mind so you can shape things. And I want to talk to you more about that.
Awesome. I'd love to talk to you about that.
So they throw absolutely great meal for you, your favorite food. All right. Your brother Colin is so worried about you, but he's also so glad that, you've made your next step in your life, and Colin's like, so you could do things that I never could, right? So I'm a merchant, right? And I have absolutely no fear at all when it comes to, climbing on a caravan and taking our goods hither and yon as needed. But damn, lad, you're going to go down in there from what Dad says. That's not something I'd face. So just be safe. We need you back. There's only one Delbert Galen. There's only one that's been chosen by the Cabal.
Well, I don't consider myself any better than any of the rest of you. I'm 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 just me. I'm Delbert.
That's who you are. That's why I love you. And that's what our dad says, right? We've been fortunate in that we found station, but with that power and responsibility comes a duty. I feel it. I know you do too.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Your mother finds a moment with you, and she looks straight into your eyes. And Frida is a hard, strong woman. And she says, Delbert, you are Hythonian. You are a leader of beings. As you face the darkness, do not flinch. Understand that you represent 1,000 years of breeding, 1,000 years of responsibility, and 1,000 years of capacity and good deeds. Be strong and know that regardless of what happens to you, Galen is Galen and you are part of it. honorable and cherished line, and I love you much. And your father, and I'm giving you a bit of abbreviated role play here, but your father, when he finds you, when he gets a moment alone with you, he just puts his hand on his shoulder and says, "You are a man. Be just." Anything else you'd like to do with your family tonight?
Nope, that was it.
All right. Your sister loves you, and the entire family respects the choice you've made and supports you fully in it. All right. May I assume then that the bells are ringing? It is morning, and we will be heading out.
I'm
Yeah,
good with that.
Yep.
Penny spent the night with her family too.
Uh, so, did you go to the Church of Odeer and have them cast Speak with Dead?
Oh, you beat me to it.
Oh,
I was going there.
Oh.
I was wondering.
They're all in knockup.
So, I think Delbert comes in the morning, and Jenna Bink and Idris and Penny um, all spend the day at the come back in, right? All right,
Yeah.
spend the night.
Yeah.
Are we tying one on? Are we just having a good meal? What are we doing?
I'm trying to win some more money. Trying to get some of these people. I need some money to buy some stuff, so I'm gonna try one last ditch effort to win some money up in here.
I am not drinking.
Okay. Are you playing cards?
Yes.
No.
Penny, are you playing cards?
Yeah, Penny will be playing cards, drinking. It's probably our last night on this town.
All right. Um, so let's see, Jen. What was that? That was when we were doing that. That was insight.
I got to use religion, but only because I was a cleric of luck. Insight and uh,
I got 2 proficiency playing cards.
That's right.
deception and
Perception.
deception.
Yeah,
Deception.
deception. Right. Okay. So okay. All right. You need to make 3 rolls. You need to make insight, deception, and you can use with insight or deception is the third check if I remember correctly. We're going to go with that, and you can substitute your tool proficiency and cards for any of those rolls if you choose to.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that for my wisdom. Okay. So deception and then the proficiency you said?
Yeah, you got to make 3 checks, and it can be 1 or 2 intuition or 1 or 2 deception, or you can substitute for all 3 of those checks your tool proficiency.
Uh, okay, so if I want to use deception, I got to use insight. You said?
Insight or deception.
All right, I'll go with deception.
All right.
And then you want the proficiency for the second one?
Yeah. Okay. All right, Idris, give me 1 insight. All right. Um, you can use your proficiency in card use. I'm just going to drop that in there. Both of you managed to not lose money, but you don't clean up. All right. So you have a good night of cards. Don't get hammered. Don't make any money. Just basically survive the night without getting totally housed. All right.
Okay.
You do get to talk to some folks. I mean, it's to come back in. Nobody really knows what you're doing, but they know who you are. And there's a group of folks that just show up to play cards with Idris when he plays. Because sometimes they house you, sometimes they don't, but you're a good card player and you're fun. And Penny, they enjoy how Penny kind of lights you up when she's talking to you. So, all right. So, Dungeons of Castle Blackmoor. It is morning. The bells are ringing. You guys get up out of bed. Delbert shows up. You have your breakfast, and you make your way to the to Castle Blackmoor. When you get there, standing in front of the main gate is the Fletch, is Fletcher William, and he nods to you as you come, and he takes out a scroll tube about this long, and on one end of it is a you know seal, not a seal, it's just got the king's seal, and he pops that open and he rolls the scroll out and he rotates it towards you, and he shows you there's a big wax seal with Uther symbol on it, and he slides that back in the tube. He holds it down and he holds it out to see who will take it.
I'll take it.
Woo.
Delbert takes it. Um, so now remember that you can only use this once. It will open the door, and they will not open the door back up until you come. The gatekeeper will explain to you exactly what the process is, but you place the seal up against the door. It identifies you and absorbs a piece. The door will open, and then when you return, you will find a plaque, a space, a burnished surface on the back side of the walls at the top of the stairs that you touch again, and it will open. So, best of luck. Good day to you. May the gods shield you. And he walks out.
Good day, Fletch. See ya.
He nods over his shoulder to you as he leaves.
Hey, Delbert, where you putting that thing? Just in case we gotta retrieve it off your person. Your body at some point in time. Where you keeping that thing?
I think I'll keep it in this pouch here, and I'll put it in a pouch. I'll let everybody see where it is so that
All right, belt pouch.
I have no reason to distrust anyone at this point.
All right. All right. So you cross across the drawbridge, and there is a guard waiting for you, and they lead you into the central compound, and then down a flight of stairs and down another flight of stairs, and in the heart of the complex, in the heart of the castle, you go downstairs. There's an open courtyard that's about 30 by 40 feet. Standing in it are 4 individuals. There's this wizened old elf. And standing beside him are additional Kamasti elves wearing armor and carrying pole arms. So,
Oh my.
when he begins speaking, Kamasti stops himself and says, "So, you have been sent by good King Uther to enter," and he points over his shoulder at these 40-foot tall metal, looks like adamantine, really heavy, thick, gray metal, burnished surface. And he says, "You have been chosen to enter the dungeons below. Is this you?"
It is.
You got a paper or something? He's got it.
"Well, I must ask you questions first. Do you present yourselves at this door of your own free will?"
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, kinda, yeah.
Yes.
"And you young miss?"
Yes.
"Very good. Do you take these actions in good faith with the best interests of Blackmoor in mind?"
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, again, yeah, kinda.
Definitely yes.
"Do you accept the risk placed before you?"
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, kinda.
Yes.
"Very good. Well, I've seen a few folks come here before. Want to answer a couple questions if you have any. Do you have any questions yourselves? Nice familiar, Idris.
Yes, it comes and goes. I'm working on it. Hey, Steve, what's up?
Anything you would know for us before I open the doors?
So, can you just reiterate the process that is necessary for us to exit the place?
Right. On the back side of the doors, once they seal again, there's a long, hard seam that looks like a plate of metal overlaid over the adamantine. Just about eye level, you're going to find a round template about like this. Almost looks like a plaque. It's got, a little bit of filigree around the outside. You walk up and you put it against. Now, try not to scream too loud. Try not to scream too much because we got to hear you and make certain it's you. But what you do is you put it up against it, all right? And then the door will vibrate. We will ask you a question. Once we determine it's you, we will open the door.
And why would she be screaming?
Well, all depends. Uh, what time? What was it? Gas. Well, gas can make you scream. And then there was a time that the Balrog. So yeah, there was a time that the Balrog chased the folks up the stairs. And what was the thing? Oh, the Banshee. Yes, there was a Banshee one time pursuing folks. So you just have to be aware. Uh,
So,
are we ready, folks?
Oh yeah, we ready as we're gonna be.
And the gatekeeper steps forward, puts his hand on Delbert's back, and says, I see it's on you. I can smell it. You have it then?
I do, and I'll fish it out.
And he points at the door, and he says, Go, press the seal against the door.
What is your name, gatekeeper?
Oh, it is the name that I go by here, yes.
Very well.
Uh,
I will go up and put the symbol on the door.
all right. Um, the doors start to open with a crack, all right? And they kick around sideways for you as they creep open. And as you look up behind it, there is a wall of skulls from the 40 feet above all the way down below. All right. And they start to collapse and roll towards all of you. Go ahead and give me a wisdom save, please. Target's 10.
sweet baby Hirsch, I thought they said there were only 17 groups they sent down here.
Is that just Dilbert or everyone?
Everyone. All right. None of you freak out and run. But this big wall of skulls is in front of you and starts to fall directly down on you. This huge pile, and they start to batter around Delbert. And the elves around you step forward, and the old elf says a word, and this green beam comes from his finger, and it hits a chunk of the skulls, and they just dissipate into dust. And another elf claps his hands and throws forward, and a lightning bolt goes out and strikes behind him. And finally, one steps forward and draws a line, and you can see that some of the skulls are trapped on the other side of it behind this wall of what seems to be bluish force as it shimmers, and the last of them drop around you. And there's one elf in front of you who's standing there with his spear set. And the gatekeeper goes, Well, you've got somebody's attention. I haven't seen that before. So, and he says something in Kamasti. Anybody speak Kamasti? He says something in Kamasti to one of the other elves, and the elf plants his spear and nods beside him. So,
I do, actually.
you do? He says, That was ill. I haven't seen that before. And the other elf responds back to him and says, It's either a good or a bad sign. We'll know when they come out. And the skulls that were trapped on the other side, there's just not that many of them now. There's just not that many. So they say, Are you ready to continue then?
Oh
Yes.
Yes.
They dropped a wall of
Let's
force.
go.
the last of the skulls tumble forward around your feet and ankles, and you begin your descent into the dungeons of Castle Blackmoor.
What types of racial things are these skulls?
Medicine, please.
Good question.
Arcane science.
Let's see. These are mostly humans. You see some orcs. There's definitely a dwarf there. There is, my God, is that a pixie skull? And that is some sort of half-breed dragon from the Ridge. And there is, all sorts of different skulls. Pretty much any sort of skull that you can imagine is out there. And they are all stripped of flesh. Some of them are bright and shining white. Some of them are not. Some of them are old and yellow and very clearly, very clearly have been around a while. But they most certainly have, they most certainly are from many, many, many different species. So.
I, of course, make note of this.
Very good. I'm waiting for a map to load, unfortunately, so. All right, who is carrying the torch?
I am carrying my lantern.
All right, is there any other source of light?
I think we're going to rotate the light sources, right?
I'm planning on always carrying it, or at least putting it down, whenever we start fighting things, and hoping it doesn't get kicked over.
Oh,
But
I
otherwise,
I meant more like it's not like all four of us are going to light up at the same time so we can stretch out whatever we got in case we're down here a while.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll start. We'll say that.
Spinning wheel of death right now. There we go. Trying to get this map opened up. Didn't realize it was that big.
That's what they always say when they see the great sword.
I really hate that my mind went to the
walked
same
right
place.
into that one.
All right. These stairs go down for quite a bit, about 500-600 feet. And when you step through the door, and how everybody told you the air is different, outside you're on the coast, right? You're in a bay. The air is wet, the air is moist, it smells of fish. You could hear the waves in the distance. When you step through the door, immediately the air is drier. It's cooler. And it's not the coolness that comes from, moist, wet air that kind of seeps into your joints and your old bones, if you've got old bones like I do. But it's, just a cooler temperature. And it's much, 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 much drier. And you come down the stairs. You guys see the map yet, or is it still loading to you?
Still loading for me.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
loading.
Yeah, loading for me as well.
I'll reduce the size next week so we're not bound up like this.
Well, they did say the dungeon was randomized. Well,
So
I have a
once-
question. Go ahead.
once we're in here, I'm going to, unless something prevents us from doing it, I'm going to ritually cast Unseen Servant to carry the torch.
Do you want to do that? Do you want to do that at the top of the stairs?
That makes the most sense, yes.
Okay. So you'll hold at the top of the stairs and then say, go ahead. All right. So Dilbert stops, and over the course of 10 minutes, he speaks, walks in a circle, throws dust up in the air, throws sands up in the air, crushes what appears to be a mushroom, and all of a sudden there is sort of this faint shimmering light. You can't see light, but there's something shimmering beside him, and he strikes a torch and hands the torch, and the torch begins to float in the air. Is that your intention, sir?
It is.
Very good.
I am watching what he does and taking note. Maybe someday I'll make a contraption that does the same thing.
That would be
Perhaps.
amazing.
That
If you
would be
do, let
useful.
me know.
All right.
You probably watch me make a few failed attempts to somehow try to mount the lantern on my little egg toy gadget thing, and it just keeps falling off, and I keep getting frustrated, but we keep moving, and yeah, they're swearing.
Well, you could always get one of those skulls and put it on your creation and then melt a candle on it, and then it'll work. Low tech, but high impact.
Well, clearly that wouldn't work because the thermal dynamics of the candle and the heat of the lantern are going to melt the candle, and it's going to just fall off anyway. Clearly you didn't think this through, Idris.
I don't need to think, I just make it happen. I've got rope, we tie it down.
The rope plus the weight of the lantern is going to make my contraption fall over. This is the problem. Out of character, also known as Jen and Tad had this discussion before we started today, and Tad said no.
Well,
It's
I
true.
was considering buying a sled, mounting wheels on it, and skateboarding through the dungeon. I've seen the kids do it. It's all the rage. None of this
That's
sweet
funny.
walking.
Map is loading now.
Yes, I have a
Yes.
very small area of my map that is accessible to me.
All right. I'll reduce
Coming
the,
into the light.
I will reduce the size of the map for you. For next week, so we don't get bound up with this load. All right. You guys tell me when you can see where you are.
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, very good. All right, so you come down to the bottom of the stairs, and the light flickers out in front of you. The air is a little bit different here, like I described to you already. The store here seems to be this polished stone that has a gloss on it, but here and there you can see bits of debris. It might be straw, might be a bone fragment, all sorts of different stuff. Everybody go ahead and make a perception check for me in the tower. Penny, you hear in front of you to your right this crunching sound. Just this crunching sound off in front of you to your right.
I'll immediately hold up my finger like the motion for everybody to stop walking.
So you basically do this?
Yeah.
All right. And everybody sees that. So, and when you stop and nobody's moving, you all faintly hear that noise, that chewing sound, that crunching sound. And it stops.
I'm going to attempt to try and stealth up and get a closer look in the direction.
All right. Go ahead and move your figure. Do you have any illumination?
Only the ambient light that's coming from the party. I have no illumination on me right now.
All right. So when you move up, you have dim light out in front of you. All right. And I'm going to show you the limit of the dim light. Going to try to anyhow as the mask unfolds. All right. You can see that there's what looks like a shattered chair, some other bone fragments and stuff. You hear, as you move up, a skittering. All right. Like there is, you know.
Jenna Bake moves up to take Penny's spot because she's too curious about what's going on.
So you move up to there? Okay, there? Okay, cool. Thank you, Jen. All right. Folks to front rank. Now this chamber seems to be huge. When you're looking up, you can see 20 feet above you the ceiling, and there's one pillar off to your right that runs from the floor to the ceiling that's 5 feet around and seems to be made out of some sort of white rock, maybe a marble. It's got veins and stuff in it. So, what are y'all doing?
Matt, you didn't say you were stealthing. You were just moving in.
No, I'm stealthing in.
Okay. Go ahead and make a stealth check and move yourself where you want to move to.
I threw a stealth check in the tower, and I'm going to try and move up towards that rubble.
Go ahead and move your figure. All right, very good. All right, make a perception check for me in the tower.
And I'll note that I moved up, so we should have 30 feet of bright light from me and then 30 feet of dim light from that.
You're there? All right, Matt's quiet, but Penny can be seen. So you're right there, Jen, is that fair?
Yeah, because I mean, I rolled shit on my self-induced wisdom save.
Okay.
I'm trying to use whatever that rubble stuff is as cover, if it can be for hiding, to obscure myself.
You can step down behind it, no problem at all.
Yeah.
All right. You look up, and you can see going across the ceiling that creature. And it looks like it's, spider climbing across the ceiling above you. And it's heading for that pillar over to your right. And would you all give me an initiative roll, please? All right. Penny, you look and you, or Penny, excuse me. Yeah, Penny, you look up and you see that thing directly above you. Go ahead and make a nature check. That is a carrion crawler. It will paralyze you if it gets a hold of you. Those tentacles are lethal. What do you do?
Does it appear to have noticed me or anyone else?
Oh yeah, it's come up on the ceiling and it's come across, and it is heading for the pillar to probably come down it. And it looks like it was trying to sneak up on you by coming up.
Okay, I'm gonna pull out my bow and shoot at it, and then I'll back up.
Very good.
And it has not acted yet, correct, in the initiative, so it's...
You pull up and fire. First round, so you get advantage, correct? Arrow strikes it. All right.
Yeah, because it hasn't acted, I get advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally cool. So you strike it. Arrow sinks deep into its side, and it hisses as it heads for the wall. And you fall back. Idris, you're up.
I will take out my sling, which I purchased, and take it out. with a miss.
You whip the sling stone and it bounces off the pillar that the creature is heading towards. Are you done, sir?
Yep.
Oops, sorry about that. I'm used to people that don't advance the things for him, so go right ahead. Jen, you're up. You're muted.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by this. I'm going to. Yeah, I'm gonna cast Acid Splash on it.
Go ahead. So you gesture with your hand and you throw a ball of acid up near it, and it lands next to it and hits in front of its tentacle, and it shakes its head as it darts through the tower. And you fall back. Delbert, you're up. You're muted. Jimmy, you're muted.
I thought I unmuted. I'm going to peer in. As soon as I see the thing, I'm going to point at it, cast a spell, and Toll of the Dead. You hear the sound of a very loud, dolorous bell ringing, and let's see. It has taken damage, correct?
It has, yes.
Oh, sorry. I guess I need to make a saving throw. Have it make a saving throw first. There.
It does not. So kind of what it's like for you is you're at the stairs, is you are almost eye level with the thing, all right? So as you look up, look up around the archway, which is 10 feet, you could just see off in the corner. Well, actually, Jenna fell back with the torch, right? You don't have line of sight on it. It's off
Gonna
in the.
fill back with a lantern. So how far away is it?
It would be 30 feet from you. It would just be in dim light. So go ahead and make a perception check. Delbert, you just can't get line of sight on it. I will allow you to keep your the failed saving throw, and you can delay until you can see it. How's that sound? You can see it clearly, and as the light came back away from it, you think you know where it was, but you don't have line of sight on it. All right. It'll take its action, then you can take an action. So it comes. All right. It spirals, and I think that's the only way to describe it. It the spirals down the pillar, just sort of spinning down around it. So its tail wraps around as it comes. It hits the bottom and it rushes across. And its tentacles lash at Idris, and Idris blocks it with his shield, and the chainmail he's got keeps the tentacles and the poison that's on them from seeping through and making contact with the skin. You see one of the tentacles whip around and bang the back of his head, and then its teeth snatch forward and it attempts to bite Idris. And it misses. All right, go ahead. You've made your roll. Go ahead and do your damage, Jimmy.
Okay, you want me to roll the damage again?
Yeah, go ahead and roll the damage again. I'll let you. I backed it off. All right. So the bell rings, and you see a chunk of its side where the carapace is start to crack and ichor seep out the side. Penny, you're up.
All right. This thing's a melee. I'm gonna take the disengage action and actually back up behind.
All right. That far up the stairs, it's going to have cover from you, so you're going to be at a -2 to hit. You're shooting through your friends, -2 to hit still. If you were out in the main room shooting directly at it without bodies and stairs between you, I wouldn't give it cover.
Okay, I'll take the cover. I'll prefer the fleshiness in between me and it.
Make your attack.
I took the disengage action, so it doesn't get the attack
Oh, okay,
opportunity.
that's
So that
right.
was my
You're
action.
running
Yeah.
a ranger, not a rogue. My apologies. Idris, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's clear that he recognizes the most pertinent threat here. So I will attack it.
All right.
And I would swing, bada, bada. That's right.
You thrust straight through, and actually something your sister was talking to you about yesterday makes sense to you. And your sword strikes it right next to its maw, where its carapace hinges by its neck. Roll the damage, please.
Will do. It's all in the wrist.
And it's not looking good at all. You plunge your sword into the area right below its throat, whip its loose, and ichor sprays out from it. Jettabink, you're up.
Genevieve decides that field research involves, being bold. So she goes on the other side of it to try to assist Idris and hits it with her spear.
So she whips around the backside of it and stabs it, and she hits. Excellent strike. So Jenna comes around the far side, turns around, and drives her spear directly into its flank, and it twitches around the spear as she strikes. Delbert, you're up.
Okay. I can still see it, correct?
You can see it clearly now, yes. Oh, hold it. You're after it now because you delayed. I gotta let it go. All right.
By the way, Tad, before, as part of my movement, I dropped gently dropped the hooded lantern where I had been standing.
All right. So we'll find a counter to mark the lantern. Go ahead and make a DC 10 deck save as you set it down. You get one free interaction, but I just want to see if anything really fun happens for me. You set it down with grace in a plume and walk past it. Dilbert, there is a lantern sitting directly in front of you.
Okay.
And you've got a torch floating right next to you. Go ahead.
Okay. I will push the torch further in so that more of the room is lit.
All right. I'm just going to show you. I got to get into mask mode. Give me a sec here. I'm just going to show you what is in bright light. All right. And that just basically extends what you can see by 5 feet based on where you're placing it. I'm assuming it's right next to Jenabink right now, right?
Yes.
All right. Good enough. And so everybody's clear. The right there, that is bedrock, and the wall is the area in front of it, just so we all have that as a reference. All right. So you push it out in front of you, and this creature does attack Idris. Oh, Idris.
It's fake news.
It hammers you. But you are not paralyzed. You make your saving throw against its effect. All right. And then it attempts to bite you after it slaps you with its tentacles. And it does successfully bite you. And you go down. Tentacles wrap around you and squeeze. You push the poison off. It doesn't get through. Maw comes and lands directly on your chest. It shakes you and slaps your body down to the ground. Delbert, you're up.
Okay. I think I'll drop a big gun on there then. I'm going to cast magic missile and uh, try and perforate it a little bit.
So 3 blue balls of light bolt forward and strike it in the crown of its head, in its torso, and directly on its shoulder. It slumps forward, and its head lands across Dilbert's body, or across Idris's body, and it twitches. All right, taking you out of combat. What would we like to do?
I am pulling out a gadget that looks kind of like a staple gun, and I am using it on Idris to heal him.
I will use my unseen servant and my own strength to lift the carcass off of Idris so that she can get to him.
All right, you're able to get the carcass rolled over on its side and out of the way. All right. I'm going to leave the carcass here for reference for now, but you guys shove it out of the way, and she moves up. There is a big pile of scrap over the corner. You can see at the edge of your vision, Penny.
That should actually be a 6 cure wounds. I need to fix that.
Oh, okay, no problem at all. I'll lift him up to 6.
Thank you.
So I'll be looking for anything else in this room and trying to stealth up using the pillar as cover.
All right. Are you bringing up a source of illumination yourself, or no?
No, I'm not trying to illuminate myself. I'm using the ambient light from the unseen servant. And
All right. You can see, and I'm going to show you what you can see kind of in, well, not kind of in, definitely in dim light. Let me navigate a little bit here. So these are the areas that are in dim light. And for reference for you guys, if we were in combat and there was a viable target off into dim light, I would probably open things up a little bit more for you, not to encourage filthy metagaming, but that would be how I approach that for you.
Why would you think we metagame?
I hate to say it, but everybody at the table has played with me before, and I have seen all your best and worst habits, and I love you all for all of them.
Look, I picked up this player's guide while I was shopping.
I was in the bazaar in Blackmoor.
I have Bolo's guide right here, page 192.
I'm an absolute angel. I never metagame.
You can tell there's a doorway there, and that doorway is opened. And I'm going to give
I
you.
will, however, investigate the carrion crawler, since I'm assuming it's the first one I've ever seen, and I'm going to, thoroughly investigate.
It is pretty dang interesting, Jen, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, it is kind of distinct. Go ahead and make a nature check for me, and you get advantage on the roll because it's already been you've already been told what it is. Okay, definitely a carrier crawler. As you're checking it out, you find so different color creature than you were seeing. As a matter of fact, you've never seen any documentation of a carrion crawler like this. Normally, they're green, darkish green with an interesting carapace, and the tentacles are more like a long, thin tubes that are much more sinuous. This was kind of hinged a little bit, just a different kind of creature. You definitely think it's a carrion crawler, but it's almost like, you got a German Shepherd and then you've got a coyote. You know what I mean? Well, excuse me, I said You've got a German Shepherd and a coyote, so they're similar, but they're not exact. So, and there's something weird as you're taking a look at this, all right? At the top of its skull, at the base of where the base of its carapace, you find, and it's inscribed into the chitin. Actually, you just actually were paying such close attention, you managed to identify this. It looks like there is. That's almost like a symbol. I mean, it looks like a natural growth, but at the same time, it's got intention to it in terms of what the shape is. And you can see it on the back of the chitin at the top of its head.
Oh my jeez, this is so exciting. Delbert, have you seen this before? Like, not only is it a new species of carrion crawler, it has this weird inscription on it. Have you seen this before?
Oh my god!
What
are you
never
doing?
seen anything like that.
Why are you guys screaming back there?
Because it's discovery.
And Penny, you are very much aware of Jenna Bink's voice echoing in this huge and empty chamber. So, all right, folks, we are coming up on 2.5 hours. I think this is a good place for us to stop for this week. And anybody have any issues that work for everybody? Well, same bat time, same bat channel next week.
Works for me.
All right. I want to give you all a shout out, and I want to thank everybody in chat for watching the show. I'm going to say these are great people. They're great role players. I encourage you, if you are a member of Twitch and you're a subscriber, go ahead and use your awesome on any one of them. Please feel free to follow them and support them in the work they're doing. They are great and awesome people who are giving of their time very generously for y'all. And before we head out today, quick series of questions, something I like to do at the end of every session. And I will start with Matt. Matt, what did you find out or Penny find out today that you thought was interesting or different than what you expected?
Well, one thing Penny just learned right now today is that when Jenna finds something incredibly exciting, she cannot control herself and will scream out in the middle of a dungeon to alert everyone. And Penny's going to have to find some tape or gag to apply to old Jenna over there.
I kind of did like that moment because I saw you sort of creaching forward. You've got your bow out. All right, you hear them shove them. All right, they're healing. Okay, they've got Delbert standing back up, and then you hear.
I would like to point out that I would like to point out that I have that as a flaw in my character. So this is not my fault. I am not trying to screw the party.
Sorted. It's on your character sheet. I have seen it. You just had your nerd squee, didn't you? So.
Yes.
Idris, let's talk about what your experience was. Anything you found that was tremendously useful for you today? Anything you found that surprised you?
Yeah, it's clear everybody is trying to break away from dear old dad, and that there are a lot of broken nobles out here that are not number one in the chain. Maybe it's time we should start recruiting some of them. That's right.
So.
Also, I'm so glad I was able to have that creature killed when he fell on my sword. Just glad I can provide these services for everybody.
Oh. So how that fight really happened, what I thought was interesting is it comes down around the tower and it spirals down and it pours across and it just batters you and you hold it off and you thrust into it, right? It's got an arrow sticking out of it and you see Jenna whips around the backside of it, stabs it with the spear, you go down and Delbert's like, oh fuck this, wham, and these magic missiles come streaming out and knock it dead. So,
yeah, I zigged when I should have zagged on that attack.
One other thing, and I'm glad we took a little bit longer here. One other thing, Jenna Bank, that you notice is this thing had been wounded. There are sticking out of it 4 little small hand crossbow bolts sticking out of it. So it's been healing. You can see where the carapace has started to seal over it, but it fought with something else relatively recently.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask before we had closed. Can we gut it and look in its gut and have them use their medicine to see if we know what it ate?
We will have an opportunity to go into that and investigate this space in greater detail starting next week. And, all right. Jimmy, anything that because I jumped on you last week and didn't give you a chance to throw in your 2 cents. So anything particularly outstanding this week for you? Anything that your character became aware of? Something that you liked was useful to you?
I felt like it was a bit of a revelation for me to realize that um, there weren't politics going on within the family, within the Galen family, to uh, push the issue. I felt for sure that someone in the family would have been involved with me being selected and the process of it, but didn't turn out that way, and that's kind of refreshing.
Yeah,
Um,
so I think it's a real interesting contrast myself between how you kind of pictured your family and how um, Phil pictured his family. And so what I have is, without going into too much deal or spoiling, I have an opportunity to create that contrast as we role play through it between the two different Hythonian groups and different approaches to what it is to be from Blackmoor. And I thought your choice to when you're out to buy your sister a stuffed animal and put a note in there for her, I just thought that was touching. I really, really appreciated that as a character choice. It was good stuff. So, all right, next week, 3 o'clock.
Yep.
All right. So, is Dustin Klingman used to say at the end of any interactive, Uther once and always. Thank you so much for playing the game. Thank you all so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Please feel free to subscribe today. Check us out on YouTube and check out our Facebook page. Both those places are under Kilgore's Lair. I'll look forward to seeing you next week. And something I'm trying to do every day about noon is Kilgore's Story Time. And my wife, who I love, is dyslexic, and both my sons are mildly autistic, and I have always read to them. And so what I'm doing in Story Time is I'm picking, piece of fiction for public domain that touches on the old school D&D Appendix N, and I'm reading it. So if you'd like to stop in and check that out, you can. And we also have the archive over on YouTube and the Facebook channel too. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. And